Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Belegian.
He's Shep, I'm Sean. The biggest question of the day, okay? Shep, heat or cold? All right? You get a 10-degree day or you get a 95-degree day. Okay? No in between. Pick one or the other. Which one you going with?
95.
Are you really?
Yeah. What about you?
10.
Because?
I can grab Blanky. And yes, I call him.
I can take shirty off. I'll make some people throw up, but I can take shirty off.
I grab Blanky. I can make a fire. I can get my little slippers with the little doggies on them.
Okay.
And
I can pour a cold milkshake. I can pour a cold milkshake. I can open the windows. I can turn on the AC.
Did you say open the windows?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Cross breeze.
You know, the only place it's safe, like in our house, like so last night, you'll appreciate this.
That's the only place it's safe for you. You ought to know. That's where you are most of the time.
I'm there all the time. The basement. Like my son had never seen Platoon. So like we sat in the basement and watched Platoon, and that's where I am right now. It wasn't bad down here. Like in all honesty, it wasn't bad down here. But like upstairs, and you know, one of those nights, Shep, like tonight, like I think the low's supposed to be 76 or something. Even with the air on, you're just not comfortable.
Right? I agree with you. I do. My basement's freezing. First and foremost, but that does make it uncomfortable. When you're sweating while you're sleeping, that's a problem.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
In a bad way is what I'm talking about, right? If you're sweating in a different way, that can be a really good thing. But if you're sweating while you're sleeping, that's an issue. You just can't get comfortable. So I don't disagree with you on that, but 10 degrees, you know, I don't want to sleep with a robe, a hat, and socks on. Yeah. I don't like to sleep with socks on. So you get pretty cold. So, I mean, how about this? Can we just have 75 and I'll be happy?
You know me, man. I call it Parmender's weather. Like, give me, Shep, give me 62. I'm happy as a pig in slop. Honestly, make sure it rains a little bit. I'm one of those guys. I do like that good fall rain. Man, I'm happy as a pig in slop.
I really am. I love sleeping when it's raining outside. To me, that's my favorite time to go to sleep, when it's pitch dark and I can hear a light rain outside. That's really fun for me. It is interesting, Sean, how if we got 62 tomorrow, especially since today was, 194. If we get 62 tomorrow, we might think it's a little chilly.
Yes.
But if it's 62 in March, we'll be walking around with short sleeves on.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's Shep, as you know, like my kids not so affectionately call them old man walks. I just take off on, again, old man walks all over my neighborhood. My kids just roar. They think it's the funniest thing on earth. And that's it, man. You get that first 55-degree day in March. Man, I don't need this coat. Pants, what pants? Pants schmants. Off they go. And you do it now. Oh my gosh, it'd be miserable. I'm gonna get the sniffles. Really, that's what happens.
What I loved most about, or one of the things I love most about our mutual friend, God love him, Tom Kowalski, always wears shorts. Right? Yeah. He always put shorts on, and he didn't go to pants until when the football season was basically over. He just felt like you had to wear shorts when attending practice. He wouldn't go to shorts, I don't think, in a lot of times for games. But that was one of his rules, and I thought it was pretty cool.
Yep, no doubt about that.
Something I'm really sick of. You ready?
Okay, go. I can't wait.
I am really tired of the Skubal drama. Really tired.
Oh, go on. I'm intrigued. Go on.
Well, I mean, just the quote, the recent quote, Chris McCoskey of the Detroit News put it out, right? Mm-hmm. It has nothing to do with me not wanting to be here. I hope that's clear. But there is a business side of this game that is not beautiful as the baseball side of this game. That's just what it is. I appreciate the fact that he's willing to answer questions. I appreciate the fact that people like Chris have to ask them. All right. It's not always an easy thing. The storyline is getting old. And now here's what happens: a constant read into the quote.
Amen.
He's gone. They're not going to pay. These are the reasons, and I'm not saying they're always right, but these are the reasons a lot of athletes say, if I don't get it done in the offseason, I'm not talking about it during the regular season.
Yep.
This team, people have asked about it already, Sean, and this team has been able to battle through. If you want to call it a distraction, go ahead. It doesn't seem like this team has been distracted by much. But this is the reason so many people don't want to address their contract situation, because of this speculation. And then that quote, which he may say has been taken out of context or whatever, people are going to go to other players with it.
You got it.
It's getting really old. I'm getting really tired of it. It's not necessarily Skubal's fault. Perhaps it's not even the media's fault, because every once in a while you want to ask. But you get the trade deadline in July. This team's got the #1 record in Major League Baseball. Their power numbers are all in the top 10 after being all 19 or worse a year ago. Casey Mize has as many wins now as he had most in his career. You got different guys stepping forward. Zach McKinstry one day, Wenzel Perez the other day. Riley Green is arguably the best left fielder in baseball. Spencer Torkelson's on pace for career numbers in RBIs, homers, OPS, and slug. And this is what we're stuck with.
Yep.
It's getting really flippin' old.
Well, and the flip side to that, Shep, is we're entering that magical period of time where every time the Tigers lose or lose a series like this past weekend, we're hearing all these people with the sky is falling stuff, and make no mistake about it. Okay, this month. Now, stick with me before you yell at me here, okay? There's a method to my madness, Shep, I promise.
Always has been.
This month has been chock full of ugly losses. I believe off the top, I think it's 6 losses of 5 or more, okay? I believe that's the number. When they've lost this month, they've been spanked, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Before you yell at me, they're still playing .600 baseball this month.
Right.
Like, what are we doing? Like, are we really having these conversations when the Tigers are standing on top of the major leagues, and this is their quote-unquote down period that we should be worried about, and they've still played .600 baseball this month? Like, we're at that weird point in time right now, Shep, where it's almost like people are just looking for things to pick at right now. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think you're 100% right. I don't know how long you have to follow sports, watch a sport to completely grasp it. And because baseball is played basically every day, you're going to judge a team based on what you see the previous day. But even the best team in Tigers lore, the Detroit Tigers, lost what? 58 games?
Yep. 104 and 58. Yep.
Yeah. The Dodgers, who won it all a year ago, look at how many losses they had. I think they had 98 wins. Is that right, Sean? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to, in a 162 game slate, you're going to lose somewhere close to 60 games. Think about it. If you lost 60 games, you win 102. That's a hell of a season, don't you think? And it doesn't guarantee you squat, because the Giants a few years ago won 107 and ended up losing in the playoffs. So I don't know why people feel like the sky is falling. Perhaps, I'll try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Perhaps they're watching, they're saying, you know what? My biggest concern going into the season was A, and now I've seen maybe through the first half of this month, A rear its ugly head, and I'm starting to be validated with those concerns, and it worries me. That could be the case.
Yeah. You know what? I want to throw who I think might be a team that we kind of forgot about, Shep, that I think might just be the biggest threat in the AL. And I want to get your thoughts on that in just a second. Shout out to Tom, said 91 degrees in London, Ontario right now. You got to be kidding me. Eric says, what's up? Aaron Judge hit another home run. His OPS is like over 1,200 right now. It's insane. Hey,
yeah, I like him a lot. Definitely deserving of the MVP. I think he's a really good dude, by the way. I've interviewed him a number of times.
I've heard that. Yeah.
He's a great dude. He struck out 171 times last year. 171 times. That's a ton, dude. A ton.
Yeah.
We hear fans constantly discuss, I hate the swing and miss. I hate NBA players can't hit mid-range jumpers. I hate hockey players who, can't move the puck the right way from the back end or go end to end. I can't stand, running backs who don't hit the hole hard enough. All these different nuances that we reverted back to way back in the day when Walter Payton and Barry Sanders could hit the hole really well, and Bobby Orr could lug the puck, and Nick Lidstrom and all these other things, and Alex English could hit 15-foot jumpers on a regular basis. We say all this, and then when Aaron Judge comes up, we're like, almighty. I mean, at some point, I give him his flowers. He's deserving of the MVP. He's in the driver's seat for the same thing. I think Riley Green has just 2 fewer RBIs. Don't whine and bitch and moan about the strikeouts and then turn around and tell me he's unbelievable. He's the greatest player of his generation. It's bullcrap.
1,200 OPS is insane. It just is. I mean, it's insane. It is. Hey, let me tell you All About Catering. They are a full service caterer. Are you looking for somebody to take care of your graduation? 'Tis the season, right? They took care of a couple graduations for us. They do weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for, from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. Customer service and satisfaction is their number one goal. Do not sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a jingle, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Rick and this gang will take care of you. Mark, so did Gorman Thomas. Remember Storm? We had that era, Shep, where there was like Tony Armas, Stormin Gorman, Rob Deere and his magnificent mullet. It's just one of the greatest mullets. Yeah, Inky. Oh my goodness, right? Yeah. So here I'm going to bring these two words.
I just add one more thing, and I don't want you and I have to be very careful. I'm older than you, but you got to be careful on being old guy. Just to put it in perspective, and I'm not saying this guy's a better player, so please don't take it out of context. But Ted Kluszewski, who played for the Reds, 3 straight years, hit 40 homers or more, and struck out 40 times or less in the same season. 3 years in a row, 40 or more homers, 40 or fewer strikeouts. In other words, last year, and again, Aaron Judge is a better player, but last year, Aaron Judge struck out more in one season than that dude did in 3 seasons combined with good power. All right?
Again, 171 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's what I said. 171 strikeouts. Now, look, I saw something on Twitter, I think it was last week, and I thought it was an absolute joke. And some Yankee slappy wrote, all the teams where Aaron Judge would be the best player in the history of their franchise. And he included the Tigers. And I had to respond because that's who I am, and it's probably an unwise thing. Like, okay, wait a minute. Greenberg, Kaline, Cobb, Cabrera. Would you take Aaron Judge over any of those guys? I wouldn't. Yeah. I think he's a hell of a player, but I wouldn't.
Yeah. So as Mark said, let me go back to what Mark said, because this is going to take me to my what I wanted to throw at you, Shep. Who and this is it's probably going to change 3 times before the end of the year. Okay. Yeah. I want to make this crystal clear. I believe the Tigers are the team to beat in the American League. I think the record suggests that right now. But with that being said, Mark said the Tigers are good, not the most talented team. Be nice to get a right-handed bat, a starter, a bully, but don't need the stars. So this is where I wanted to go. Do you know who I think, and maybe Shep, it's because we dispatched of them last year. I think that people are looking completely past the Houston Astros. I really, truly do. And I'll tell you what scares me about the Houston Astros, Shep, is their top 2 pitchers right now are just lights out. And what I don't think people realize, while we give the adoration to Skubal, and rightfully so, Hunter Brown is having just a sick year right now. Wayne State kid, by the way, I had to give that shout out.
Yep.
Hunter Brown is having a sick year right now. Valdez is a really good number 2. And Shep, when we're talking about series like that, I think their top 2 are probably better than our top 2 as we sit here right now. I'd still say Skubal over Hunter Brown. I would. But if Hunter Brown can match him, right? Let's say, even win a 2-1 game or something like that. Then I sit back and say to myself, okay, well, hopefully Jack gets things figured out. All right. I'm not going to get panic stricken over that. I'm just not. Would it be Casey Mize? Would it be Jack? I don't know. But
I'd rather have Mize on the mound than Flaherty, to be honest.
Right now, oh gosh, yes. But would you agree with my assertion? I think Brown/Valdez greater than Skubal / for example.
Yeah, probably. And remember, Valdez is a proven pitcher in the postseason. He's got, I think, more quality starts than Hunter Brown. He's got 11 quality starts. His whip is like just over 1. Okay. I like him a lot. I like Hunter Brown a lot. I don't know if Detroit could, even if they got like Reese Olson healthy, I don't know if they could pack that same 1-2 punch. That said, those 2 guys also pitched against Detroit last year, and Detroit beat them. Okay,
you got it. You got it.
I would worry about that a little bit later on. AJ Hinch gives Detroit a huge advantage. Jeremy Pena has been excellent this year. Houston hasn't been totally healthy. Neither has Detroit. I'd love to see the matchup. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Detroit is the best team in. Look, they said Detroit doesn't have the most talent. Answer me this: who does? Like, do you need stars? I'm not saying this is the ultimate, but you and I talked about the Stanley Cup Finals. I know it's different sports.
Mm-hmm.
The team with the less stars won. Who were the stars for Oklahoma City and Indiana? Sure, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander because he was the MVP, but before last year, I'm not sure how many people really thought he was a star. Maybe because he was in the running a year ago. My point is they don't have a lot of stars. Do you need a lot of stars in order to win a championship? It's a good question in baseball. The Dodgers obviously have had that, right? Who's the last team, and don't tell me the 06 Cardinals, who had a team that won a championship in baseball that didn't have any stars? Detroit's got the biggest star in Tarek Skubal. I think Riley Green is one, and more people are starting to recognize that. But when you say talent, I think Detroit's got a ton of talent. They just don't have superstars on their team. There is a difference, right?
I think so. Riley Green, the clinic he put on yesterday was awesome to watch. I'm sorry. Like, Shep, sitting at home watching that game, and by the way, I'm not going to complain too much about the 12-10 start. I'm just not. I'm not going to complain too much about the 12-10 start. Those plays that he made out in the outfield yesterday, that, like, I'm sorry, and I can sound like the token old guy here. I love seeing that stuff. I think people really don't appreciate the web gems, so to speak. And I mean, he made multiple plays out in the outfield that was just so stinking cool, you know?
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it whether he plays center. We've seen him in the left field. I get why people are infatuated with his uncomfortable running style. I don't care how a guy gets to the ball. He still gets to the ball, and he makes catches. Last year, one would argue, and rightfully so, that he was a gold glover. Stephen Kwan from the Cleveland Guardians won it, but he won the fielding Bible given by Sports Information Solutions. So I think he's the best left fielder in baseball, definitely in the American League, but I think he's the best left fielder in baseball.
What was that stat? You said his name, and that's why I shook my head. What was that stat in that series last year? Stephen Kwan came to the plate 31 times and got on base 52 times. It was fake. He was on base constantly. What's Stephen Kwan doing on base? He wasn't up, and there's Kwan waving to everybody on at first base. Hey, guys, here I am again. You weren't up, Kwan. Back in the dugout. That was maddening.
Yeah, I think he's really good. Don't get me wrong, but I'll take Riley Green every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because Riley Green also provides the punch, right? Last year, a career high in homers. That's what this team is. This is what we're recognizing with this team, right, Sean? they have they have found their power. It's people always have told me that's the last thing to come at the major league level. Riley Green has found some power, right? Last year, Matt Vierling a little bit found some power. It's going to come from more of these guys as the season wears on and as they get a little bit deeper into their major league career. But I think it's the biggest reason they're in first place is because of their power numbers compared to where they were a year ago.
So I want to get, boy, I love it. People put some pretty cool comments in there. Somebody asked about the Zegras trade, and I want to get your thoughts on that. First, let me tell you about my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group. If you are ready to take the next step in your financial journey, well, the next step is in downtown Northville. The Wealth Advantage Group, owned by those two handsome fellas right there, two brothers with over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized expert guidance to help navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, you're getting ready to sell your company, you're already in retirement, they can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life. They have clients in over 20 different states. They always reach out to you on the holidays and the birthdays. Great guys. Mike Cusack on the left, Jeff Cusack on the right. You don't see them because they're great guys. You go see them because they're great guys who do great work. The investment world is a complex one. So if you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it's time to work with the experts. Reach out to the Wealth Advantage Group at 248-773-8574. Check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. I want to get to what Bill said, basketball elite, what his thoughts about the NBA Finals. But Shep, Dave asked, what do you think about Zegras going to Philadelphia? I was surprised that the return package was as small as it was. I was not that Zegras is lit it up by any stretch of the imagination, but Ryan Poling, and what was it, a second and a fourth, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that it was that little. I really was.
Poling's only 26, right?
Mm-hmm.
Poling's only 26. I think I was more surprised that Anaheim has cut its cord with Zegras, considering he was the runner-up to Mo Sider, right, for Rookie of the Year for the Calder, and that wasn't long ago. When do you turn the page, and why do you turn the page? I mean, we had that discussion a little bit about a guy like Rafael Devers. Boston decided to move on a year after they gave him a huge contract. Why are you doing something so quickly like that? There had to be something behind the scenes. From what I've read, they had talked about possibly a change of scenery would do him good. Why is that? I mean, Pat Verbeek, I think, is a good general manager. I think he knows what the hell he's doing. He's the one who pulled the trigger on this. So you tell me, what do you think was going on behind the scenes and why a change of scenery was necessary?
You're getting a hard-working player in Ryan Poling who had no business going 25th overall to the Montreal Canadiens. He had no business going 25th overall. Period. End of story. He's not a first-round guy. He isn't. He's going to work his tail off. He's going to do a lot of little things and such. But from an offensive, upside standpoint, there's nothing there. And I mean, a second and a fourth is a second and a fourth. Which, Shep, to your point, that really makes me wonder if there was something else going on. Maybe it was the obligatory, perhaps a change of scenery was necessary. I don't know. I know that Zegras' name was being thrown around a lot because he's buddies with Cole Caulfield. So I think the Montreal media over the course of the season was desirous to perhaps see him end up in Montreal. But Philly it is. I was kind of surprised at the return. And Shep, we took two different paths to get there, but I think we got in the same spot. It almost tells me that maybe there's something more there that we don't know about. And I'm not going to speculate. How's that?
Yeah, no, I think it's fair. It's just as surprised as you may be for the return, I was surprised at the deal in the first place that involved a guy like that who's been a steady player, at least a steady rotational guy. Maybe it's good for both teams. At least that's what I hope. I think people oftentimes when we look at trades, people think, you know what, one team's got to get the better of it. The best trades are when you're helping both teams.
100%. 100%.
It creates a willingness to work with one another. When general managers are oftentimes seen dealing with similar teams, outside of Randy Smith, who is an idiot for dealing with the Padres so often. But when you see that, that's because they have relationships and they feel like the other guy's not going to hose them on a deal, right? They both want to be able to make a deal that's beneficial to both organizations.
SGA is a star. His game is just not sexy at all, but he's a mid-range assassin. Shep, again, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, people are talking about how bad the ratings were and all that stuff. That was an enjoyable series, and Indiana didn't give up. Honest to goodness, I hate the pylon in the media, but at the same time, I'm not being a human being if I don't say, like, literally my heart broke when Halliburton popped his Achilles. And like, you knew right away. I don't know if you got the same feeling. Unfortunately, that's something that it never happened when we were younger, right? Who popped their damn Achilles when they were younger? Happens all the freaking time now. Your heart just breaks for the poor guy. It just, what misery, man. Absolute misery.
Sean, isn't it interesting that 3 guys had their Achilles tendons pop in the playoffs this year?
Yeah.
Damian Lillard, right? Tyrese Halliburton, and the Boston Celtics leader, whose name literally just escaped me. I was going to say Jaylen Brown, but it's not. What the hell? They all wore 0.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Isn't that crazy? That's nuts.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Shep, what was your take on the NBA Finals? Hey, listen, I told you.
I did too.
I really did. I enjoyed it.
I don't care about ratings. I really don't. I thought, look, I know you and I talked about the Stanley Cup Finals and that, really wasn't as close as perhaps it might indicate. I get it. I found it to be an enjoyable series. Okay. Jason Tatum. Thank you very much, Bill. Lost his name. I found it to be a very enjoyable series. I thought the NBA Finals was a really enjoyable series. Okay. I quite honestly didn't know who to root for. I ended up rooting for Indiana, Eastern Conference. Love the story. But both teams remind me a lot of our great Pistons teams, where I know Isaiah Thomas was the exception, and maybe it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But when you talk about the great players in the league outside of Gilgeous-Alexander, not many people are talking about Indiana's players. Okay, it's the ultimate team, and if people, you're either going to like the sport or not, you're going to want to watch it or you're not. But don't give me this crap about all they do is promote stars, and they kind of conjure their way into getting the big 3 on a certain team and so on and so forth, dude. Listen, then you should be rooting for each of these teams because they're developing those big 3 players on the same team. Although Pascal Siakam came from Toronto, but they're doing it in a way that has not necessarily been done like this for a while. And I think it was refreshing.
Yep. I agree with you. Hey, did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy Partners to get help with their home and auto insurance? What are you waiting for? I'm telling you guys, this is personalized service. They call you to look for ways for you to save money. That is a true story. They did it for us a month ago. They are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents. Full service, one-stop solution. What sets them apart is not only that personalized service, but they fix mistakes other agents have made, ask the right questions to get the right coverage put in place. And yes, of course, it's all about saving some money today. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies, I mean, who checks their policies? You're probably underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give these guys the chance, like we did, our family did, to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, or your business insurance needs. Call them today, 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quote. Bill said,
really good comments.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad the Pistons didn't plunge in on KD. Great player, but not an ideal fit for our build or timeline.
100%. I am thrilled about that, especially at the age of 30. So I'm not big into the age. He's still productive, averaged 26.5 last year. Far cry from the scoring title, but 37 years old. And I don't know, man. I'm surprised they didn't get more. Who cares about the 5 second rounders? All right. those 5 second-round picks, they're
Right.
not, they're not going to make Phoenix's team anyway. Jalen Green's a good young player, but it wasn't great in the playoffs. I'm not feeling it with Kevin Durant, and I'm glad Detroit didn't get involved in that. Now, if it were Giannis Antetokounmpo, we're talking about a different story here. Okay, guy's 30, still highly productive, gives you a lot of things you don't have right now. That I would be all in on, depending on what you had to give up. But Kevin Durant, I could take a pass on.
You'll like this one, Shep. I think we're both in this guy's fan club too. Is Salvador Perez a future Hall of Famer? I bet my friend $500 that he gets in. Shep, I'll go first. Yes. He might be over 1,000 RBI in his career by the end of this year. He'd have to pick it up.
Yeah.
He's 35 years old. He's got some baseball left. And I think if you look at who's in and you compare, who's in to what his body of work is, I think based on that, yes, he gets in.
Yeah, I think so too. 5-time Gold Glover, that helps. Bill Freehan won 5 Gold Gloves. I think he's an 8-time All-Star. Bill Freehan was an 11-time All-Star. Salvador Perez, more productive as an RBI machine, and with more power. Yes, I think he gets into. I think you win that bet. My frustration is that there are players, and I'll be a homer. Okay, I think you are too. Okay, you can be when it comes to the Tigers. I think you're really good about it in hockey, but when it comes to the Tigers, you can be a homer as well. Look, Lance Parrish won 5 Gold Gloves, Sean. Okay, 3 Gold Gloves. I'm sorry. He was an 8-time All-Star. He was a 6-time Silver Slugger. Okay, and he's got like 325 homers or something like that. He's not in. As a Tigers fan, and again, I try to be as objective as I can. As a Tigers fan, Lance Parrish has got a pretty damn good resume.
Oh, couldn't agree more.
Really good resume. If Salvador Perez gets in, that's the comp that many Tigers fans would use for one of their franchise's greatest catcher. I don't know if he is, because I think Freehan was unbelievable. Mickey Cochran was great, right? But I think Lance Parrish, you could use that comp and say, question in the back of the room, why isn't Lance Parrish in that?
Mr. Veterans Committee, sir, could I have your attention for a second? That type of stuff.
Yeah.
Our buddy Mike Cusack, by the way, Wealth Advantage Group. Lions DE question. From what I read, we gave up 2 later draft picks for Z. Why are they waiting to bring him back with potentially losing him? We gave up draft picks to only have him for half a season. Pair him with Hutch, and let's get these 2 guys loose. Trey is going to cost way too much. Mike, my jaw would drop if Z wasn't back. I'm serious. I think what they're waiting to do is wait for the dust to settle, the smoke clear. He's a veteran. They're on the same page. I don't know if you saw the clip, Shep. He was at some dinner or something,
Yeah.
and TMZ caught him and said, "Hey, when are you going back? When are you going back to Detroit?" And he was like, "Soon," and all that. I would be surprised if he didn't end up.
I think they have a handshake agreement on a number that suits Detroit's budget and suits Zadarius Smith. The thing I would bring up, Mike, is who else is on it? I mean, if it's that big of a deal, why hasn't somebody else signed him yet?
Yeah.
Okay, because everybody knows you could use another one of those guys. I think Mike's right. I think Trey Hendrickson's going to be too expensive, but I love him. I don't know what you would have to. The thing that bothers me just a little bit about Trey Hendrickson, he's under contract and he's telling people, he's not going to go into camp. Now he and the Bengals have re-engaged in contract talks. What do you have to extend him for? If he's going to want a long-term extension, that should be a red flag considering his age. However, you can always front load those contracts when it comes to the NFL.
Eric is saying no on the Greek Freak, no on the Greek Freak, no on the Greek Freak, and no on the Greek Freak.
Why would that be?
And I'm intrigued too because Shep, you just talked about those damn draft picks. I don't give a damn about draft picks anymore. I don't give what. How many first rounders do I have to give up? What kind of package do I have to give up? How many bodies do I need to give up on the roster, and how many draft picks do I need to give up? Let's have that conversation. That is, oh my goodness. Me personally, yes, and yes, I would. That one I'd say yes, yes.
I do think he brings up an interesting point. What would you have to give up to do this? So you mentioned the draft picks. You're going to have to give up more than just draft picks, right? So you're going to have to give up players. Jaden Ivey, they've proven they can win. I like him, but you're going to have to give up something to get something. Maybe you give up one of your young men. I would prefer not to give up Jalen Duren, but okay. When you make a deal like that, you expect to be picking late. Is that fair to assume, Sean?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Can anybody name, I don't know, who was picking late in the draft last year? Can anybody name the Bucks pick?
You got it.
Because they drafted 23rd. Can anybody do that right now? Can anybody name the Celtics draft pick? Does anybody remember the kid from Creighton?
Yeah.
Okay. The kid who supposedly can shoot? Shireman, something like that?
Sure. Milky Waters.
Okay. Did anybody watch him in the playoffs?
Yeah.
How good was he? Oh,
yeah.
That's right. You didn't. I don't care about those picks either. I care more about what you'd be giving up, what you're getting, and the long-term effect he can have. In addition to that, a really good teammate. I don't think he's a guy who has to demand the basketball all the time. I do think he's a guy who can play with a Cade Cunningham. I would do that in a minute, depending on which talent I would have to get off my roster to get him.
I think without a shadow of a doubt, you're talking about Duren and Ivy. I mean that, Shep, and 5 number ones. And this is the same conversation we had about the Lions. Okay, I don't give a damn if the Lions are as good as we think they are,
Mm-hmm.
and you make a move that you feel will not only put them over the top, but does put them over the top. Okay. Oh, rats, I'm giving up number 32 in the draft. Whatever will I do? You know what I mean? I don't think about stuff like that. I don't. And I think that guy would be insane here. I think even with losing guys, I mean, let's be honest, you don't want to lose them, but with what we have, and obviously with Cade taking that proverbial next step this past year, Shep would be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, how many guys on the Pistons, with all due respect, they did it. They were great. They were a lot of fun to watch. You've got one untouchable. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, the Celtics there's been talk of the Celtics dealing Jaylen Brown. I want you to think about this. Teams have traded Donovan Mitchell before. Okay. So I don't. Luka Doncic was traded, for crying out loud. And suddenly we can't part with Jaden Ivey and Isaiah Stewart, or Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren. I mean, come on. Okay. And the picks, as far as the picks are concerned, I liked Ron Holland this year. Detroit doesn't have a first-round pick this year. How many people are freaking out about that?
Right. And as Henry pointed out, this is a situation where, I mean, let's face it, the Milwaukee Bucks are one of those teams, almost like the Rams in football, where they haven't had picks, as Henry pointed out. They haven't had picks, and they don't have picks for years.
And they're pretty good. They've been pretty good, right? They've been making the playoffs and so on and so. I don't know if he's injury prone, like Eric says. I wouldn't consider him injury prone. I think he's a high level player, and I think he's one of the best players in the world. Period. Full stop. Like somebody said earlier in the chat, Rick Carlisle's the best coach in the NBA. Full stop. He's one of them. I mean, I'd probably take Eric Spoelstra, but he's one of them. Yeah, for sure.
You know what's interesting about that, Shep, too, is I think this comes back to a simple point where you also have to flip the script. And what I mean by that is, okay, here we are talking about how this would benefit the Pistons, and that's great. And this is where I used to always play that game on the air called "You Be the GM." All right, so let's flip the script. Hey, Milwaukee, are you intrigued in taking 5 first-round draft picks and the players that we mentioned? Aren't they going to probably say the same thing? Now, wait a second. The Pistons are going to be pretty good. Mm-hmm. Why do we want your draft picks in the late 20s? What good is that going to do us? Maybe we could package it for something else. I don't know, get cute like that. But I think that's one thing that we have to recall. If I'm a Buck fan and I'm listening to this conversation, you know what I'm doing? I'm going, you guys are slapdicks. I don't want your pick at 28. The hell's wrong with you? You know?
I'm with
So
you.
it does. It goes
Yeah.
both ways. Bronny is
I'm
legit.
with you 100%, which means maybe you'd have to give up more than just 2 players on your current roster. It may be a third. It may be a young guy like a Ron Holland or an Asar Thompson. I guess, somebody said he's injury prone. He's played at least 61 games every single year, and I know that means you're missing about 19. I guess Cade Cunningham would be injury prone, right, Sean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because of last year, or not this past season, but the year before.
Year before.
And yeah, I mean, come on. The dude goes out there and he plays and he produces. That's the whole thing. This team needs guys who can threaten from the outside, okay, but also are matchup problems for the opposition. There's already a matchup problem for a guy, and this is probably all ridiculous, right? I mean, they're like he's not gonna, like Detroit's gonna be able to make this move, but it's always fun to talk about. You're getting a guy who can keep defenses honest, can create his own shot, can post up, and by the way, is a hell of a defensive player. An absolute stud on the defensive end. Has he lost a step? That could be the case. I don't know how much. Dude's 9-time All-NBA team, either first, second, or third. What's not to like about that? Yeah. Why wouldn't you want that? You're trying to tell me you want to hold on to Stewart or Duren and Ivy and draft picks when you could get the marquee player, arguably, and he's in the MVP kind of conversation every single time, finished third. That's higher than anybody else on Detroit has finished in a long time, right? So
yep.
tell me why in the world you wouldn't make that move. I don't get it.
I wouldn't heartbeat. All right, one more thing to get to before we get out of here. When it's time to get yourself a house, buying, selling, oftentimes both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? That young lady right there, Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the mean streets of Northville. She's expanded her team now all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. So when it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, first-time buyer, doesn't matter. You want to go with somebody that knows the business. You contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She'll help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Chris said, any idea how we can end both the Stanley Cup and the NBA playoff before June? I don't. And I think, especially when you're talking, I'll go to the NHL. When you have the Olympic break, it can't. Because you know as well as I do, Shep, they're not taking games away. They're not taking games away. Well, let's move the season back to 70 games. Not going to happen. I really don't know how it can.
Quite honestly, I don't want them to. I mean, I love being able to watch 3 different sports during the early part of the summer. I could be in the minority here. I wanted every series to go 7 games. I want to be able to watch multiple sporting events. And now, not that there's anything wrong with this, but now it's every day. It's baseball. Sure, there's news about other sports. We just talked about Zegras and the trade. But I want to watch other sports. I think it's awesome. I love that they go till June. I wish they would go to the end of June, quite honestly. And then soon I'll get Lions football and NFL training camp stuff.
It wasn't as bad for me when July 1 really meant something, when it was a big day, but smart franchises now lock up the big name players. You don't see a lot of big name players hit the market anymore. Right. So that's why a loser like me, it's 61 days until week 0, Shep. Yes, I'm counting down. And it also happens to be the day my favorite cider mill opens. So yes, the longer I have to worry about things like that, the better off I am as well. So have either of you guys watched Surviving Ohio State? I heard about it. Shep,
I never heard of it. I never heard of it.
Yeah, it's I want to see it. I want to see it. No doubt about that.
Somebody said their friend is in Milwaukee and he wants the Bucks to move Antetokounmpo to Dallas for the first overall pick. I like Cooper Flagg a lot. Okay. I think there's been a lot of times, Sean, where you look at first overall picks and you think they're going to be a shoe-in, and a for sure thing, and that's not always the case. Maybe people didn't feel that about Markelle Fultz. I don't know. Maybe they didn't feel that about DeAndre Ayton. I don't know. Does anybody remember who the first overall pick was last year?
Yeah.
Zachary Ricochet. I like having the known quantity. I like what I have, as long as it's upper tier compared to something I don't know what I'm getting. I think I know what I'm getting. But what if he turned out to be, I don't think he will. I think he'll be a really good player. What if he turns out to be Anthony Bennett? Then what?
Yep. That, you know what, you are that was always my Dave Dombrowski take. The amount of slander that man took around here in the past decade still bothers me. I'm not lying, okay? But we can't get rid of Humberto Sanchez.
Right.
Jacob Turner, you're going to trade Jake. Rob Brantley, too? People losing their minds over myths. They were myths. We didn't know the first damn thing about them. You know,
right. The one guy who's an untouchable is Jacob Turner. You and I, we had that conversation while we worked together.
Remember it plain as day.
Yeah, at that powerhouse on the AM dial. And you sit there and you go, wait a minute. Just out of curiosity, we're getting it right now, Sean. We're getting it right now. Not that I disbelieve in Max Clark or Bryce Rayner or Kevin McGonigal. Do we know what they're going to be?
You got it.
We have no idea what they're going to be. I thought Ty Madden was going to be a really good pitcher, Sean. I really did. I watched him play at Texas quite a bit. I thought he was going to be a really good pitcher. Where is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Should that not concern you? They're bringing up players because they need starters. They haven't brought up that guy from Texas, which is a well-known, really strong program. Where is he? You don't know in baseball. That's the hard part about it.
No doubt.
We don't know because did anybody watch LSU and Coastal Carolina over the weekend? Anybody? My guess is no. I'm going to guess that you were watching the Tigers, and rightfully so. Maybe you watched a little golf and watched Tommy Fleetwood melt down. I don't know. You weren't watching college baseball.
Matt Manning's coming, Shep. Don't worry about it. It's that move to the pen. It's that move to the pen.
Dude, I said this 4 years ago, maybe 3. I said, he might be a good guy at the back end of your bullpen. Can give you 2, but can be electric for 1. And he's got good stuff.
I hope so. I know, sir, for the benefit of, not even rooting against him, for the benefit of the franchise, it would be fantastic. So, all right, we got to get out of here. Hey, bud, anything before we go?
Just this. I thought for sure you would say something about AC/DC.
You know, it's so funny. So I was I was doing the elliptical the other day, and I was listening to, they got that little elliptical. When it's too hot, forget the old man walk. I've been
in your basement. That elliptical is like a second closet. It's just a bunch of clothes hanging on the.
But I was listening. It was funny. I was listening to Highway to Hell, nice. and I thought to myself, Shep, that's like 45 years ago, man.
No.
Like it's crazy. And then, after Bond died, then they Back in Black and everything. It's like, wait a second, that's over 45 years ago. It's insane when you think about it,
You like that song because it's all about your life. Living easy, living free. That's what it is. That's when you start, you are like Kevin James and the King of Queens on the treadmill, living easy, living free, looking at people screaming while you're running and turning it up a notch to speed number 13.
Hey, mama, look at me. I'm on my way to the promised land as my smoker is just billowing with Duroc goodness. That's my promised land. See you guys. Take care.
Buddy. Have a good week.
Bye.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. Engineering, mixing, and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.